Greetings folks and welcome to another OrchestralTemplates.com gear overview. I hope you're doing absolutely fantastic. I'm Tobias from OrchestralTemplates.com, where you'll find custom template solutions for working composers. Today our topic is something very dear to my heart, something most composers rarely think about when they ponder how to improve their workflow, using a NAS, or multiple. I want to show you why having such a network-attached storage is a good thing, why it is not something you should postpone for when there are no other things left to buy. As usual, here's the full disclosure. I do not work for or am in any relationship with any of the mentioned companies. The NAS devices shown here I have all bought in retail. I have not received anything for free. None of the companies here pay any money to me, there is no affiliation at all. Everything said here is my personal and honest opinion and not influenced in any way. There's also the question of pronunciation. I say NAS. You may feel free to say NAS or any other pronunciation that tickles your fancy, but I like NAS best. It also sounds least like a government agency, which NAS definitely does. With that out of the way, let's venture valiantly into the world of SMB, TCP/IP, AFP, DSM, QoS, and other similarly confusing abbreviations. 1. What is a NAS? NAS stands for Network Attached Storage, and in its most basic form, it is exactly that. Storage attached to your local network, as opposed to storage attached to a particular machine like an external hard drive. A NAS is a hard drive that is connected to your network and can be reached from any device within that network. Only, of course, that's not all. Not by far. To answer that most confusing question, what can it do, we need to really briefly discuss what a computer is. A computer running Windows, macOS, or variants of flightless birds is a machine that does stuff for you. Personal computers can do a lot of stuff, some of it very well. They are multi-purpose devices. Like a family car, they are built to do pretty much everything, at the cost of not being truly awesome at anything particular. A NAS is the opposite. It is built to provide storage on the network, plus some tasks related to storage and management. Because it is focused on that one task, it excels at it. Because a NAS is built with storage in mind, it has some basic properties that help make storing lots of files easy, safe, and secure. Failure tolerance. Most NAS devices share a similar look. A square box large enough to accommodate a bunch of hard drives, with some ports on the back and possibly the front. With the exception of very entry-level NASes, which we will skip here since they will not be of any interest for composers' purposes. These boxes have 2 or more hard drives. These drives are organized in a RAID configuration. RAID stands for Redundant Array of Independent Disks and means that the drives work together in a certain way and appear to the system as a single storage volume. This gets into nerdy tech talk, so I'll spare you the details, which are indeed not of much interest in our case. In a nutshell, depending on which RAID type is used and how many drives the NAS holds, the NAS has failure tolerance of 1 or more drives. For example, in this 4-drive NAS, any of the 4 drives can completely fail without leading to data loss. When that happens, and in fact it did to me just a few weeks ago, a new drive can be inserted and the system repairs itself. This process is largely automatic and makes an otherwise catastrophic drive failure a matter of just popping in a new drive and waiting a few hours for the all clear. Network access. Like the term network attached storage says, a NAS is connected to the network, not to any particular machine. Some of them can also be connected via Thunderbolt or similar, but the general idea is that the NAS is connected to a switch or router. This way, every device on the same network can access its contents. Standalone operation. Because a NAS is a physical box with its own power supply and components, the NAS can run when all other machines are shut off. A NAS typically draws very little power, from a few watts at idle to 60 or so depending on the number and type of hard drives, so it can run all the time and provide services to all devices on the network. It can also work standalone and be controlled by remotely logging in from wherever you are. More about that later. Of course, it is possible to set up an energy plan, so the NAS will power down at night when it's not needed and boot up automatically in the morning. Saves energy and makes you feel super green. Doing stuff. This is the part that goes beyond mere storage. Because a NAS has its own computer components and operating system, it can do a lot of things that you would otherwise use a computer or other device for. While not the core function of a NAS, this nevertheless will become invaluable to every workflow. Again, a lot more about that later. 2. How to integrate a NAS in a studio. Here's the part you've been waiting for, the reason why I made this video. A NAS can be an integral part of your studio, and out of all the things you can buy for your studio, is the one thing that will give you a very fast return of investment. For those not sure what that is, return of investment describes the resources it takes to get the money back you've spent. Because a NAS can make your productivity soar and contribute a lot to your mental health, Yes, it actually does. Peace of mind should not be underestimated. The benefits of having one quickly outweigh the cost of getting it. I go through a number of things I use the NAS as I own for. This list is by no means exhaustive, and if you have any additional suggestions, let me and everyone else know in the comments. File exchange between machines. The most basic task where I see people struggle is with file management. Getting files from one machine to another up to a point works fine with USB thumb drives or external hard drives. But once you need to frequently move lots of files, this gets cumbersome, because it means you have to transfer twice. First on the external drive, then to the target system. There's also the issue of file systems when moving between macOS and Windows or a Linux system you might be using for special tasks. Those with multiple slave machines are also wary of copying the same stuff to X different machines. And last but not least, there's the issue of practicality. Some of the systems may be in a machine room or another place that is hard to access. And in any case, it simply sucks to have to plug in, copy files, remove, plug in somewhere else, and so on. A NAS will provide shared folders, which will show up under its name in your file manager. Here's my main NAS with its shared folders on Windows and macOS. These folders can be used like local folders, so you can copy from them, copy to them, create new subfolders within these shared folders, and so on. That's where SMB, AFP, and so on come in. Because these folders are accessible on all machines in the network, and because the NAS will handle the data transfer itself on its file system, every machine you use it with will use its native protocol to access the folders, removing the need to make sure you're not accidentally trying to read a HFS Plus formatted drive on Windows or write an NTFS thumb drive on macOS. Just have all your data in a central repository and access it from wherever you want. Boring but useful. Backups. Ooh, the dreaded backups. If I got one bug for every time someone has sent me an email in panic, I have had a hard drive crash and have no backups. How do I get my data back? I'd be able to retire tomorrow. Actually, making backups is pretty easy, much easier than people often think. There will probably be another video about composer-centric backups one day, because this is a big area. For now, we'll keep it simple. Because a NAS is accessible within the file system on any machine that is on the network, making backups on it is dead easy. A. Once a day important work files backup. The simplest solution is to copy important work files onto one of its shared folders periodically. You can do this manually, and I actually do that every few weeks just so I know for a fact that there is a backup that I personally created and checked. But there are plenty of applications that can do it for you once a day or every few hours. I use Personal Backup on all my machines to back up important files once a day. This is just a simple incremental backup that is set to keep all files indefinitely. Because projects generally are small and the software can zip them, space is not really an issue, and I just like having this quick and dirty first line of defense against hardware faults. B. Periodic time machine-like backup. The second type of backup where a NAS helps is with scheduled backups every hour or every few hours. If you're on a Mac, there is no reason not to use Time Machine. It needs very little setup, does the trick, and does not get in the way. On Windows, there's the free Veeam agent that does a similar thing, or Genie Timeline, which is very similar to Time Machine and even offers a similar time travel browser integrated into File Explorer. While all these applications offer the ability to also do a full system backup with all drives for a restore, I always exclude at least the sample drives. If one of your sample drives fail, simply by always having a screenshot of what is on what drive, you can easily restore things from your backups. There's no need for these periodic tasks to always also scan all sample drives. Back up the system if you've made enough changes to a stock OS installation that is worth the time for the backup, and your project, work files, and so on. C. System backup. Touching on system backups, this can be a tricky topic. If you use your machines only for work, the slates will not really need a full system backup. Reinstall Windows, your plugins and VE Pro, and you're good because the sample drives should still all be okay. On a master machine, a system backup might be worth it if you've made tons of tweaks to the system, have lots of applications installed, and configure things to your liking. My recommendation is to have a system backup so you can restore it in the case of a catastrophic drive failure, but then use the opportunity to do a clean reinstallation when projects permit it. If you keep a folder on your NAS with drivers and applications you need, a reinstallation will be relatively quick and give you the chance to start fresh with a clean system. Offsite backups. So, now you have your files on the NAS, but what if someone steals everything in your studio or the house burns down? A NAS can cover you there too. Via the web interface, Disk Station Manager for Synology, QoS for QNAP, and so on, You can set automatic jobs to copy contents of the NAS to a cloud location. You can use an Amazon S3, Google Drive, and tons more, because this is basically a last resort that will only be used if your actual system fails for whatever reason, and your NAS fails completely, meaning not only one of the drives in it, for which it would be protected. I personally am okay with finding an economical situation for this. Chances are good you'll never need to access these remote files, so you don't need the most expensive provider in the world, and it is even okay if they charge a bit for you to access the files later, like Amazon Glacier does. It is also wise to have 1 or 2 physical off-site backups, for example at your home if that's not also your studio address, or at a friend's place. You can easily create these by connecting a hard drive to the NAS and copying over what you need. Do this periodically or set up a job to have the NAS copy its contents to another remote NAS, and you have an added layer of safety. Sample libraries. This is an easy one, but still comes as a surprise to a lot of people. Your NAS is the perfect place to save copies of all your sample libraries for future reinstallation or to be able to go back to an earlier version. While most developers will allow you to re-download your purchases, this might require waiting for them to give you another download. Or they might not have the version you want on their servers. Or they might not be in business anymore. In any case, if you have your purchases backed up on your NAS, you can easily reinstall everything, also to multiple systems without the need to download multiple times. You can back up the installed libraries or the original download, which is likely compressed. Both are fine. I like to back up the downloaded files, because they are a bit smaller and copying several larger files is quicker than copying lots of small files, even if they are the same size in total. There's also a good chance that some companies will insert restore data into their compressed files, so they are more tolerant of write errors. Such a sample libraries folder on your NAS also lets you see at a glance what you already have. Past projects. Unless your main work is in TV, where you constantly need to refer to previous projects, chances are good that once a project is completed, you don't need to open it very often. You can host past projects on a NAS, freeing space on your project drives and making things much less cluttered. Unless your projects extensively use audio files, you can even open projects directly from the NAS when you need to access them quickly to copy something. Printing. One very useful feature is network printing. You can connect printers to your NAS via USB and they will be available to every device as a network printer. The best thing is that this way even older printers that do not yet have a print server for network access and are not Wi-Fi ready can serve as a network printer with full multi-client support. And you can print via Wi-Fi from any device as long as the NAS is connected to the Wi-Fi subnet in some way. One printer to rule them all. Media. Because a NAS is essentially just a big storage space, it is perfect to save media files. Your library of music ripped from CDs or purchased digitally, videos of your projects and many more media types can find a new home. I have been hosting my music library on my NAS for a long time. Whether you use iTunes, or MediaMonkey, or Helium, or MusicBee, which is what I use, and there will definitely be a video about that software from heaven in the future, hosting the actual files on the NAS frees up space on your system and still gives you all the benefits of using a traditional desktop player. There are also some benefits on the NAS itself, which we'll get to in the next section when we look at web applications. Studio security. Studio break-ins are a constant danger, especially if it is somewhat known what values you have in your studio space. Many people therefore want to invest in a video surveillance system, but these can be costly, especially if footage also has to be stored. NAS systems come with special software to connect cameras for tracking unauthorized entry into your studio. Usually a license for at least one camera is included, and more licenses can be bought from the manufacturer. With a wide array of compatible cameras, having a NAS gives you a painless way to record video surveillance footage and save it for a certain time until it is needed. 3. How to use a NAS as a workstation. A NAS is essentially a Linux-based PC and as such is able to do a lot of things you would use a regular PC for, only at a much reduced energy draw and with less fan noise, big boxes sitting around and just in general a bigger level of unobtrusiveness. The NAS is just there doing stuff. The operating system. With the exception of systems like Drobo, which are primarily aimed at being just storage solutions, most NAS brands come with their own special operating system. Synology has Disk Station Manager, abbreviated DSM. QNAP has QoS. These are accessible via any web browser and show their UI in a browser window. The user experience follows established operating systems. Both have something like a start menu or an applications grid. Both have a File Explorer Finder type application, and other staples that you would expect from such a system. Usability is generally very good, and you'll be at home in the system in a very short time. It is said that DSM is a bit more like macOS and QoS more like Windows, in that the latter allows for more customization at the expense of slightly higher complexity. This is true insofar as QoS confronts the user with quite a number of special networking terms already during setup, while DSM takes people by the hand with easier to follow instructions. But once set up, both work similarly, have different strengths and weaknesses, and both are also continually improved, so any possible gaps are shrinking. Web applications. The nicest operating system is nothing without software to run on it, and this is definitely where both Synology and QNAP shine compared to the competition. And this is also the reason why this video, out of all the NAS manufacturers, is about these two companies. Both systems within their WebOS offer a huge number of applications that work just like local applications on your machine, but run completely within your web browser with all the heavy processing happening on the NAS. A lot of applications are provided by the company themselves and are installed with the help of a very App Store-like software center. Tons of third-party applications are available as well, and both systems allow you to add custom package sources. Just to point out a few of the apps you can get, all free by the way. There are full-blown management solutions for photos, videos and pictures, with search options, tags and properties, and quite sophisticated navigation options. These applications scan predefined shared folders on the NAS and keep their findings in the database, allowing you to quickly browse what you have, similar to desktop applications like media players and photo viewers. There are productivity apps for writing, creating spreadsheets, and even presentations. Note editors with task management, text editors, and many more. Remote access. If the network is properly configured, a NAS can be reached from anywhere on the network, but also from anywhere in the world, providing a good solution for remote working. Both companies offer a dynamic name service where you can reach the NAS by entering a specific URL, no matter which IP address on your home network the NAS has. While enabling this of course can pose a security risk, it's a good tool for when you are on the road and need to safely access files. Because all operations take place on the NAS, this is actually quite secure because sensitive files never leave your home if you keep all operations to the web applications. Working this way also means you can work with large files like videos that would be too big to take with you, and it gives you access to any file you need at any time. For pretty much every big web application there's also a mobile version for iOS or Android, so you can access your NAS contents from anywhere. Desktop access. But things don't stop with the web apps and mobile devices. Some key applications also have their desktop counterparts. The most important one is your own two-way cloud storage. Synology has CloudStation while QNAP has QSync. Both are similar to Dropbox and other such tools, with the difference that all your files are on your own NAS, not a third-party server. There are also desktop companions for NoteStation, Synology, and NotesStation, QNAP respectively, which you can use to sync your notes across devices. This is quite useful in that it gives you the advantages of a desktop application while still using a cloud service in a way and not having to worry about keeping different systems in sync. Hosting client files. Delivering files to people is one of the most exciting yet also scary parts of a Media Composer's existence. Part of what makes it so scary often is entrusting your valued files to some third-party host for transfer. Not anymore with a NAS. Set up a shared folder for file exchanges and put your deliverables in there. Setting up either an FTP service so clients can access their files via the FTP browser, or giving them access directly through FileStation with the help of limited access accounts, or a number of other sharing options, makes sure clients can get files fast and securely. Because they download everything directly from the NAS, you do not need to spend ages uploading files. Instead, you simply put the files where they can find them and that's it. Managing downloads. Downloading stuff has become a daily part of work life as well as personal life. Where some years ago everything from software to work files came on CD, DVD or similar arcane storage devices, today you have to download it. A lot of these files are large, and a lot of them you'll want to back up for later use anyway. So what better time to do it than in the middle of the night when the cable lines are less busy. Your NAS comes with a download manager application, which you can feed with lists of links or even torrent files or magnet links, for example for larger videos from clients. The good thing is that these downloads can run in the background, do not take up bandwidth on your main machines, and when they are finished, all files are already on the NAS, ready to be distributed to whichever systems they need to go to. File transfers. As an extension of backups, delivering client files and file exchange between machines, a NAS is also good for general file transfers, whether between removable storage devices or FTP servers. When dealing with thumb drives or hard drives owned by other people, connecting them to the NAS instead of your local workstation also aids security. After all, no one really knows what's on those thumb drives floating around. You can add remote locations via FTP, other protocols, or even other Synology or QNAP devices to the NAS's file manager and copy files between them just if they were sitting side by side. Managing information. Thanks to support for some widely used standards like CalDAV for calendar data, contact info, and many more, a NAS can be a viable alternative or add-on to an iCloud or Google account, especially when sensitive data is in play. While the plug-and-play nature of third-party services is tempting, and indeed often is a good choice for personal data, for all your client info, things look a bit different. For starters, chances are good that you only need the bulk of that info at your studio, not on the go. So having that info just at the studio is perfectly fine and is an added layer of security, which you can actually explain to your clients. I personally like the fact that by separating personal data and business data, it is easier to establish boundaries and prevent work from intruding into a few choice hours of me time. And when the info is needed, it is just an app away. Virtualizing a machine. One feature in QNAP devices that is really useful is the virtualization station. Not only does it rhyme, but it also lets you host the full operating system directly on the NAS that is accessible via any web browser. This is very useful to host a bare-bones little Windows system for office work or a Linux system for development. A virtual machine is also quite useful for safe browsing without running the risk of forgetting anything bad on your production systems. While virtualizing a system requires a fair bit of RAM in a NAS, I have found my model with 8GB RAM to be perfectly capable of supporting regular office work and web browsing. A safe haven. Another neat QNAP software is the Browser Station. This lets you set up browser instances that run on your NAS and can be accessed from anywhere. The big plus of this is that these instances for their communication will use the internet connection of your NAS, so when you pull up a page, your connection is to the NAS, which in turn connects to the website. If you are anywhere in the world that is not on the same network as your NAS, that means the internet connection you are using only sees a connection to your NAS, nothing more. The thing you do on the NAS goes through your personal connection where the NAS is, so no one can see which websites you access and so on, as long as you make sure to follow basic safety procedures like not entering sensitive information in case a keylogger is used. This is a very secure way to browse sensitive sites from any connection in the world. It also means if you are in another country, whatever you do on the NAS to the outside appears to happen in your home country. This way you can escape geographic blocks, for example if a particular website is banned in the country you're in, or other blocks like a company network that does not let you use certain websites. So much more. These were just a few of the things a NAS can do for you. I've tried to keep it relevant to composers and only include things a more or less traditional media composer would likely find useful. If you are also active in other areas, there will be many more things a NAS can help you with. We've also barely scratched the surface on the first and third party applications available. There's so much to discover, so there might be a second, more in-depth video at a later date. Buy or build your own. Finally, the big question. When talking about buying a pre-made NAS, someone will always chime in, yeah, but you can build that yourself with FreeNAS for a fraction of the cost. Yes, you might. And yes, maybe that is something you want to consider, or you have a tech-savvy buddy who will rise to the occasion. But then again, maybe you'd rather write music. Also, the hard drives are likely to be a big part of the price, possibly more than half of the total cost of the system, and these you supply yourself anyway. While you will be able to build a comparable system yourself for less money, you should also figure in the time spent on assembly, setting everything up, and maintenance. I have been using my oldest Synology NAS since early 2013, and apart from a failed hard drive, it has been operating flawlessly with only minor attention to software updates required. A DIY NAS might work similarly well, but again, I'd rather make music. I hope you like this foray into the wonderful world of network-attached storage thingies. Make sure to hit that like button if you did. For me, getting a NAS has made a world of difference, and I hope it will for you too. Or maybe it already does, and maybe you're way more a pro at this than I am. Let me know your thoughts and feedback in the comments. Of course, I'll be happy to answer any questions you might have. Make sure to stop by orchestraltemplates.com for more templatey goodness. Take care and see you soon.